Hi there. Right, what we're looking at this time are the preset army formations for Carthage, which are a little bit different than you would perhaps expect for the Hellenic type armies, which is interesting because pikes do actually feature in the Carthaginian army as well. But of course, the point of interest for most people, especially when we're talking Hannibal, which is this sort of time period, is the use of elephants. So I don't think I'll be fighting any of the battles in this particular time. Because we're looking at the formations rather than playing them. But here I've got my general purpose Roman army build. Just in case it suddenly takes my fancy. Might finish off with one. So I'll start the battle, just so that we can have a closer look at them, how these actually lay out. Okay. Okay, so here we are. Yeah, missiles up front. Elephant, elephant. Cavalry, cavalry. And right, this is heavy infantry. Right, heavy, very heavy. And I'm assuming these are supposed to be elite because that's the way the general and it's the African pikemen. Right, that's how it's actually loaded up by default. So again, it was Control A just to highlight everything. Control G to put it into a grouped formation. When the padlock's there, that's supposed to be that if you advance them all forward, that they should actually stay in the formation that you put them in. So here we have the three specialised formations. So that's Cannae, Trebia, and Zama. Now these are named after three of Hannibal's battles. And now Zama, he was actually defeated. Trebia is the battle that he used his elephants in northern Italy. And Cannae was further down Italy, where he totally obliterated the Romans, totally obliterated them. That's one of the all-time classic battles in all history. I think it was something immense, like it had to be World War I, pretty much, before the next time so many people were killed in such a short period of time in a single battle. That's how devastating that battle was. Okay, what we can do, if we do these in date order rather than the way they've got them sequentially there. Right, so here we have Trebia.
Into formation!
Right, so it seems Trebia was pretty much what it loaded with by default. So what we have here, we have the elephants on the flanks, with the cavalry, a front screen of missiles, and a good solid melee formation for punching forward. Now, what I've actually got, just bear with me a little second. Okay, if I bring this up. Right, Battle of Trebia. Now, what was quite unique about this, what Hannibal did was he sent cavalry over to taunt them, and that actually flustered them so much and got them fired up so much that forced the Romans to attack. So that was therefore Hannibal's plan, is to force them to attack. So then draw them onto your strong defences. So what happened there was they then attacked. The Hannibal's cavalry basically destroyed the Roman cavalry, and when it did that, it then slammed the flanks. While that was happening, there was actually a very, very strong Roman centre, and it actually fought its way right through the centre. But what happened here was these were hidden. You see, this is all a very, very big ambush. So while they're punching through the middle, these flanks are starting to get hit, and as these flanks are starting to get hit, the ambush then gets sprung. He then starts smashing into the back of them, really breaking up these formations. So the Romans actually fought their way right through. They looked back and they could see that as a general battle, the battle was lost. So we're actually talking around about 10,000 Roman troops. But what they did was they maintained formation, they maintained their discipline, and they then marched round and took refuge at Placentia. It was, and the rest that were not part of that group that went round, they got slaughtered. So that's what happened in the historic battle, and the formation should theoretically reflect that. See, because the thing that is missing is that we don't actually have anything extra for ambush. Now that might be just because I've not brought the right units. That can happen with presets, but at the same time, because the elephants would slant into the flanks. So what? Right, yeah. If we go back to the right, yeah, because here you have the cavalry taking on the cavalry, and then the elephants smashing into the flanks. Now the cavalry, I can't remember if they returned as well. But these guys certainly ambushed and smashed into the rear. But yeah, but the cavalry took out the cavalry, and that left the elephants to smash into the flanks, and create mayhem with their formations. But of course, these guys had punched a hole through before that could ripple right along. And of course, once that had punched through, then mincemeat was made of the rest. Okay, back to formation. So it's fair enough. The idea that you would receive, force the enemy to attack you in this formation. Well, again, it's this split between the heavies, the very heavies. If you're wanting to receive the enemy, it's like you should really be putting up a strong shield. Well, I suppose you can shield wall with these things, can't you? Gallic warriors. That's perhaps why it's in that formation. Right. Late Libyan hoplites can phalanx. And these can shield wall.
Ready for battle. We'll kill them all.
So if they was with the shield wall, if that's the phalanx, then receive, and then with these guys, you can then get local superiority and flanking round. It's like okay.
Gives us strength.
But that was Trebia. Okay, next up would be Cannae. Okay. There's certain things about this I personally disagree with this as being Cannae, but that having been said, it's a case of like applying Cannae to general purpose, perhaps. I'm not sure. It's right. This is cavalry, and this is a mess. This is a mess. Because I've given it what I thought would be the right type of army to do Cannae properly. Like the elephants. Well, that's the thing. You wouldn't have elephants at Cannae, would you? Really? So that I don't know if that's causing any confusion or not. Okay, if we look at the historic Cannae, you'll perhaps see what I mean. Okay, Battle of Cannae. It's now we have cavalry on the flanks, as you would expect, and now we've actually got an interesting sort of arrowhead type formation. This image says Spanish and Gaulish cavalry. It's not. It's infantry. This is infantry, not cavalry. Well, you can tell by the the white with the line through. These are always mounted units, cavalry units. And what we've basically got here is this is designed to draw them in as much as they can. So what's going to happen is these guys are going to give way, and then it's going to eventually bow round. So from that way, it's then going to stretch back the way, and they're going to then. The idea is that will encourage them quite naturally to squeeze in together because they're wanting to push forward to their advantage. And as is traditional, the Carthage cavalry. Oh, excuse me. Well, you can tell I'm out of practice here. Okay. The Carthaginian cavalry would destroy the Roman cavalry, and that in itself was vital to the victory, as well as. I do disagree a little bit, not about the fact that the African infantry is on the wings. I disagree that they were so close to the main line. I would have these positioned a little bit further out. These were also hidden. These are ambush units. See, so the Romans would not know they're there. They cannot see them. And what would then happen is here. See, as I was saying, how that's like bowing forward, an arrowhead forward. It would then turn into like bowing the opposite direction. These are right. The colours are run the wrong way for this one, aren't they? It's because here the Romans are red, here the Romans are blue. Sorry about that. Well, I'm just sourcing these images off the internet. It's not, I haven't actually done them myself. I was just looking for the ones that were like the best general and easiest to identify. Right, so here we have the Romans in blue, right? So that's putting pressure. That's quite clearly putting pressure on the on the Celts and Spaniards that were in the middle. And just as that's happening, how I would describe it is Hannibal saw what happened to his centre. Here, it's Trebia was 218 BC. So, and then Cannae was 216 BC, 2 years later. See, so Hannibal had learned from this that the Romans were going to punch right through his army. You see, so because this is the one, right, punch through, and then the guys that punched through got away safely, right? So he knows that the Romans are going to punch through, and so that's why he designed his army for them. To encourage them even more to punch right through. So the Romans like to punch through, let's give them something to punch through with, right? And so here, there's just as much chance that rather than bending all the way, this may well have collapsed completely. Yeah, the centre. It's one of these things. People can be so precise about what happened in these battles 1,000 years ago, and they've got like one poet's account. Maybe something like that. It's like, so there's just as much of this can be educated guesswork as anything else. It's that, so whether it kept stretching and held, or whether the centre eventually broke, it's kind of that's debatable, right? But what is confirmed is once they were committed into this bowl, we'll call it, into this. Then the African infantry. So these are effectively like phalanxes, go smashing into the sides. These guys keep holding here. These guys are crushed up. The Romans are crushed up, so they cannot maintain their formations. So if you're talking about a blob army, this is a proper blob army in real life that happened here. And while they're smashing the flanks, the cavalry returns and smashes them from behind. So they are then completely encircled. They cannot go anywhere. Right. So that does kind of suggest that that this did hold, or if it did break, then they rallied and returned. You have to guess Hannibal was probably. Well, let's just say, like from a gameplay point of view, he was probably like hitting his raise the banner, and using his rally button, shall we say, and getting him back into the fight. So that they're getting totally devastated from the sides, they're getting smashed from behind, and these guys rally and keep going at them. They're all blobbed together. They can't use any special formations. All that's happening is they're getting squeezed, killed, and slaughtered. And that was what happened at Cannae. Now, the game formation that we've got here, for me, doesn't cut it. You see, it's like because here, this must be a result of a glitch. Surely, this cannot be a genuine attempt at Cannae formation with the army that I gave the computer to set this up with. Right, so we've got hoplites, and we've got African pikemen. And see, because we've got the Gallic warriors, who theoretically should be the middle, right? So they should be theoretically be the middle, with like Sacred Band, Libyan hoplites, Carthaginian hoplites. It's like so you could put either these to one side and perhaps one behind, and put the African pikemen on each flank. Now, as far as elephants go, I must admit I should not have included elephants for Cannae, but we'll be using them for the we used them in Trebia, which was accurate. So we'll just call that cavalry. and it's a case of, well, I see what they're kind of meaning is like, well, if so if the enemy pushes that forward, then you've got the backup to then whack them and hit the flanks with the elephants. Well, I suppose that's what I should do. Yeah, I should actually consider the elephants as infantry. No, it's not. No, it's too screwed. It's too screwed up. I'm sorry, but that's it's either an incredibly poor attempt at Cannae, or there's just something bugged to hell about this. It's perhaps something else that needs a bug report. Okay, let's leave that. We'll come back to that, because what I'll do, I'll swap out the elephants with something else and see if it changes it. But in the meantime, then we have Zama. Right. Fair enough. It's like the elephants up front. That's correct. The traditional missile screen. That's fine. I've maybe got too many heavy infantry units, so they're making a big long line, because I would have because theoretically there should be like 3 lines, so melee. Well, if we look at the historic summary. This is quite a good little one, because it gives us a little rundown on the side of quite how this happened. What they've forgotten to include is what happened to the elephants. And to cut a long story short, that's because the elephants never really they were unsuccessful in this battle. And why they were unsuccessful is because after Trebia, after Cannae, Scipio Africanus, he had learned what Hannibal's tactics were, and so what he effectively did with this battle was he out-Hannibaled Hannibal. He gave Hannibal a taste of his own medicine, and it was Hannibal's big defeat. So the formation would have worked if Scipio wasn't so familiar with Hannibal's tactics. And what's happened here? So he actually had his elephants in front, and the idea was that they would disrupt the formations of the Romans, for the mercenaries to then follow through. So the citizens to then follow through and take advantage of the disruption and mayhem that the elephants has caused. And Hannibal would be with his main force smashing up behind once again. So it was very much an attacking army rather than an ambush army. So the other two, like Trebia and Cannae, they're very much there's something sneaky going on. There's something that's a surprise. Whereas here, there's not really much you can do to surprise the Romans because of the location. It doesn't really have anywhere to hide any units to surprise them. Now, so what happens is Scipio has changed the formations here, so that they can actually effectively sidestep the elephants, and so rather than them charging into formations that can't get out of the way, he's changed the formations so that they can sidestep, leaving channels for the elephants to then just run through. And once they ran through, they weren't any use after that, really. So what precisely happened to them? Not sure, to tell you the truth. It's just the fact that once it ran through, they were no longer featured in any of the battle accounts that I'm aware of. So Hannibal would have been counting on his elephants to like rupture these formations, like mess them up for his mercenaries and citizens to get stuck in there. And then when it was the crisis point of the battle, he'd send his own best troops in as well. And of course, he'd be assuming that his cavalry would be protecting his flanks. So phase 1. The Roman cavalry drives Carthaginian cavalry from the field and pursues. Right, so number 1, Hannibal has lost his flank protection. That usually was not happening to him. He's usually doing that to the Romans. So number 2, the Roman legion drives off Carthaginian mercenaries and citizen forces. See, so because the elephants had failed, these guys are not strong enough to actually go head to head against the Romans, and so they get smashed, they scatter, and that just leaves Hannibal with this is his best troops, but right. So number 3. After regrouping, the legion strikes Hannibal's veterans as Roman cavalry attacks in the rear. So Hannibal, I'm not sure, he might have realised that his day was already lost. It's like, because it's like he'd already lost his cavalry, and now he's seen his front lines actually getting smashed. Now, what Scipio had done here spectacularly well as well was make sure that his cavalry were well disciplined, and so what very rarely happened in the ancient battles happened here. Is so what Hannibal does traditionally to everybody else gets done to him. The cavalry comes in from the rear and smashes the fresh men at the back, while the pressure's on from the front. And well, that's it. And so the battle is lost. His army's smashed. So it's questionable what they've done here. As far as, once again, it's this all swords on one side, all spear on the other. I'm convinced that is some sort of bug glitch. I'm quite sure that, surely that has not actually been deliberately set up that way, so to speak. Okay, anyway, that's so apart from, like I'm saying, apart from the fact that they've got all swords one side and all spear the other side, then that's like if perhaps you put the spears up front and the swords second, and with the general and any elites at the rear, then I would say that's Zama. Okay, so if I come out of this and get rid of the elephants and see if that's going to change Cannae. Just in case these guys are screwing up the Cannae formation, because they shouldn't be, you shouldn't really have elephants at Cannae. Okay, what would I want? I would want heavy infantry actually, because I'm guessing that the position that the elephants were in, I would want heavy infantry there to simulate the elites on the side that would then smash into the flanks. That's what I want. Libyan infantry, late Carthaginian hoplites. See, I really want more African pike, don't I? Yeah, that's what to do. Right, because I would guess that the African pike should actually be at the flanks, smashing in the flanks. So, we'll see how that goes. Okay, Control A, Control G,
Hold this formation.
and can I?
Into formation.
Okay, it's just added the African pikemen more to there. No. Well, if you said that it was inspired by Cannae, then perhaps you could get off with it. But if you're saying this is to simulate the formation used at Cannae, rubbish. Utter rubbish. Okay, I better not go off on one. Because I'm not meaning this. The way there's so much hate on the official forums, it's like I'm not interested in pouring hate on CA. They're working on improving the game. The game is improving with each patch. It's just, I understand why people will do something like this. So they'll go, huh? Can I? You must be joking. It's like, yeah, but there's things you can do to change this just a bit. It's like put your hoplites, like your sacred band, Late Libyan hoplites and late Carthaginian hoplites. Put them up front. Put your swords behind, and have your African pikemen last. If you're wanting to see, I would actually put pikemen side and side to then smash the flanks. But that only works if you're doing Cannae with the Cannae terrain, and there are places where you can actually hide your surprise troops on the flanks. But anyway, I'm starting to chunter on a bit too much, Well, I suppose we can see here that we've got the indication of what's supposed to happen. If we look at these icons, right, so the teeth, see the teeth are supposed to be pointing towards the enemy. So here Zama, although the strategy failed, it failed because Scipio was so familiar with Hannibal's tactics. But if it was against someone who wasn't familiar with them, then it would have worked pretty much guaranteed. So, so the formation itself is theoretically sound, unless somebody knows that you're actually going to use it. So here you've got your main line. I'm guessing this is representing the elephants. So the elephants go in front, smash them up, and then you follow through. With Trebia, you've got your main line. You're smashing the flanks and you're hitting them with cavalry in the rear, except that the formation doesn't quite reflect the ambush dude. Where's the ambush guy? Right, and of course Cannae, you've got the buckling front line creating the arc, the ambush troops smashing the flanks, while your cavalry smash them from the rear, complete encirclement. That's the theory behind the Cannae. It's just, I'm just not quite seeing that with the formation that actually turns up when you press the button. But you can tweak this to turn it into Cannae, rather than just pressing that button and it being a one-click wonder. But yeah, those are the special formations for Carthage.